welcome back to the Medangle Premier YouTube channel. So today we're going to be solving the DUHS 2024 past paper and specifically the physics and chemistry portion of it. So let's get started with physics first. So the first question for physics says the linear momentum of a photon is given as, and the options are mc, mv, mc square, m naught c square and hv over c. तो बेसिकली हमारे पास ये 5 ऑप्शंस हैं. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल हम जो थोड़े से इलॉजिकल ऑप्शन हैं उनको क्लियर आउट कर देते हैं. सबसे पहले हमारे पास एम सी है विच एम सी एंड हमारे पास एम बी है विच डू नॉट रियली मेक सेंस. ऐसे कोई देयर इज नो सच इक्वेशन जिसके अकॉर्डिंग एम सी और एम बी दे मेक सेंस. तो वी कैन एलिमिनेट दैट राइट अवे. फिर हमारे पास ऑप्शन बचते हैं एम सी स्क्वायर, एम नॉट सी स्क्वायर एंड एच बी ओवर सी. तो एम सी स्क्वायर बेसिकली अगर आप लोगों को याद हो तो इट वाज आइंस्टाइन्स इक्वेशन जिसमें हम मास और एनर्जी को रिलेट करते हैं, राइट. एनर्जी इज इक्वल्स टू एम सी स्क्वायर. सो दिस इज दैट इक्वेशन. लेकिन क्वेश्चन में हमसे पूछा गया है द लीनियर मोमेंटम ऑफ अ फोटॉन. मोमेंटम पूछा है हमसे, राइट. Right, so we all remember that mc square is basically Einstein's mass energy equation. ठीक है. अगर हम लोग let me just quickly annotate. ठीक है. तो बेसिकली अगर एनर्जी हम लोग ये कह रहे हैं कि एम सी स्क्वायर की इक्वल है तो हम इसको इस तरह भी लिख सकते हैं कि एम सी स्क्वायर इक्वल्स टू एच वी. अब ये मैंने ऐसे क्यों लिखा है यहाँ पे, राइट. तो दिस इज बेसिकली एनर्जी इन टर्म्स ऑफ फ्रीक्वेंसी, राइट. फ्रीक्वेंसी टाइम्स प्लांक्स कांस्टेंट. तो ये भी एनर्जी की इक्वल होता है और एम सी स्क्वायर भी एनर्जी की इक्वल होता है, राइट. तो हम यहाँ थोड़ी सी अगर डेरिवेशन कर लें, and we know that mass into velocity is what? It's momentum, and that's the exact thing the question wants from us. तो अगर हम एक c जो है वो यहाँ ले जाएं and हम उसको इस तरह से लिखते हैं momentum is equals to hv over c. So that will be our answer. So this is how we derive this equation. ज़्यादा कुछ मेहनत नहीं लगी, 2 लाइनों में हमारा राइट आंसर हमारे पास आ गया, that is hv over c. So the next question says, just a second, the unit of resistance. अब इससे ज़्यादा simple question हो नहीं सकता. So unit of resistance क्या होता है हमारे पास? Basically ohms, right? That's the correct answer. Moving on, we have the question: longitudinal waves do not exhibit. So the options that we have are reflection, diffraction, polarization, interference, and refraction. तो longitudinal waves as we all know इसमें particles जो होते हैं वो parallel to the direction of motion जो है वो vibrate करते हैं. So all of the properties जितनी भी इधर mention हुई हैं they all are exhibited by longitudinal waves except one, and that is polarization, क्योंकि that is basically the property of transverse waves. तो इसमें basically जो oscillations होती हैं they are geometrically oriented along two perpendicular planes. So that's what polarization is, and it's basically the property of transverse waves, not longitudinal. So this question asks, 1 kilogram mass is entirely converted into energy, the amount of energy will be. So basically this question में again हमें Einstein की mass into energy वाली equation use करनी होगी, is equals to mc square. तो according to that अगर हम m की जगह 1 kg रखें और c which is the speed of light उसकी जगह हम लोग which is the speed of light which is 3 times 10 into power of 8. ठीक है. So और इसका हम whole square कर दें because it is mc square, right. So the answer that we will get is 9 into 10 power 16 joules, right. I'll just annotate it. That will be our correct answer, D. ठीक है. इसके बाद next we have two very simple questions. The first one says the unit of resistivity is, and as we all know factual wall question है, उसका आंसर होता है ohm meter, right. So that will be A. And then the next question says the SI unit of power is what? Obviously as we all know it is watt, so the correct answer will be D. So the next question says the total potential difference across the combination of 3 similar cells becomes maximum when, and then we have a bunch of scenarios. So basically इसमें हमें करना ये है कि we have to find out कि कौन से scenario में सबसे ज़्यादा potential difference हमें 3 similar cells के बीच में combine होकर सबसे ज़्यादा किस में मिलेगा, right. So again it's a very basic concept कि अगर हम जब भी हम 3 cells को series में लगाएंगे तो उनको potential difference है it basically adds up, right. So we have to see which option says three cells are connected in series. All the three cells are connected in series, so E will be the correct answer here. Okay. Okay, so the next question asks us which one of the following is correct for a transformer. Option A है transformer converts AC to DC, and then we have an option mechanical energy into electrical energy, works on the principle of mutual induction, and converts electrical energy into mechanical energy, converts AC into DC. So basically DC और AC वाले जो options हैं वो basically हमारे पास जो है वो rectifier के functions होते हैं, right? And mechanical energy into electrical या फिर vice versa, these are the functions of motors and generators. So the only correct option that we have is C, which is transformer, works on the principle of mutual induction. So this question says the time rate of change of linear momentum is equal to what? Moment of force, angular momentum, torque, or moment. So as we all know, linear momentum yani mv. If we do mv over time, so that is equal to what? It's equal to force. The nearest option जो कि शायद कंफ्यूज करे स्टूडेंट्स को, दैट इज टॉर्क. टॉर्क बेसिकली फोर्स इनटू टाइम होता है, राइट? फोर्स इनटू टाइम इज इक्वल्स टू mv, दैट विल बी टॉर्क. बट फोर्स क्या होता है? फोर्स इज टाइम रेट ऑफ change of linear momentum. So the correct answer will be force, that is B. So the next question says, in projectile motion, the horizontal component of acceleration is 0, 9.8, 19.6, 4.9. So it's a very simple question. If you know the basic rules of projectile motion, the only acceleration that acts on a projectile is acceleration due to gravity. लेकिन वो भी हमारे पास वर्टिकल कंपोनेंट में एक्ट करती है, यानी वाई एक्सिस पे एक्ट कर रही होती है, नॉट इन द हॉरिजॉन्टल कंपोनेंट. सो द हॉरिजॉन्टल एक्सेलरेशन विल ऑलवेज बी 0 because the horizontal velocity always remains constant in a projectile. Moving on, which of the following statements is correct? Work can never be converted into heat. Work can be converted completely into heat. Both heat and work are interconvertible. Heat can never be converted into heat, or heat can be converted completely into work. So the only option that makes sense is both heat and work are interconvertible. Why? Simply because of the first law of thermodynamics that says that energy cannot be created or destroyed, but it can only be converted from one form into another, right? And we have various examples जैसे कि जो स्टीम इंजन होते हैं हमारे पास, उनमें हम लोग हीट के थ्रू मैकेनिकल वर्क प्रोड्यूस कर रहे होते हैं. सो दैट इज़ वन एग्जांपल. इसी की अगर हम ऑपोजिट एग्जांपल देखें तो वी हैव इलेक्ट्रिकल रेजिस्टर्स जिसमें हम इलेक्ट्रिक एनर्जी के थ्रू हीट प्रोड्यूस कर रहे होते हैं. So that just proves that both heat and work are interconvertible. Okay, so moving on to the next question. It says the force responsible for simple harmonic motion of a simple pendulum is what? इसमें basically the force that we're talking about is the restoring force. यानी जब pendulum ऊपर जाता है तो वो वापस जिस force से नीचे आ रहा होता है and then it repeats its entire motion, तो वो force कौन सी होती है? Right? It's basically the restoring force. And कौन सी फोर्स होती है? इट्स बेसिकली द वेट ऑफ द पेंडुलम, राइट? वेट क्या होता है? मास इनटू ग्रेविटी, राइट? mg. लेकिन उसमें कौन सा कंपोनेंट एक्ट कर रहा होता है? अब पेंडुलम अगर नीचे की तरफ एक्ट कर रहा है टुवर्ड्स ग्रेविटी, सो इट विल बी द वर्टिकल कंपोनेंट यानी mg sin थीटा, राइट? सो हियर द करेक्ट ऑप्शन विल बी डी, दैट इज mg sin थीटा. इसमें भी one more thing that you have to add is negative mg sin theta. Why? Because जो force है वो opposite direction में act कर रही होती है, right? Which is the restoring force. So the next one says the current through a conductor is directly proportional to the potential difference between the ends of a conductor, provided that the physical conditions remain the same. Which law is this, right? Obviously this is Ohm's law, which states that जो voltage होता है, जो potential difference होता है, that is directly proportional to the current. अगर हम उसमें as a constant resistance को add कर दें तो our equation becomes V is equals to IR. So this is how we get the Ohm's law. So we can just mark here B will be the right option. The next question says the measure of energy between any 2 points on a circuit is, which is the basic definition of potential difference. So that will be the right answer. It's a very easy question. Right, so the next question says if the electronic transitions in hydrogen atom terminate in the second orbit, the emitted series is known as Balmer, Biefern bracket, Paschen, Lyman. So the correct answer will be Balmer, because second orbit में जब किसी upper orbit से second orbit में आके जब terminate हो रही होती है electronic transition, तो it is basically called as जो emission हमारे पास होती है, that is included in the Balmer series. उसके बाद अगर N1 में हो रही है तो it comes under the Lyman series. उसके अगर N3 में हो रही है which is the third orbital, it comes under Paschen, and then it comes उसके ऊपर अगर N4 में हो रही है तो it comes under bracket, and अगर बिल्कुल लास्ट में आप चले जाओ तो it comes under front series, right? So our correct option will be Balmer series. Alright, so the next question says the force experienced by a current carrying conductor placed in a magnetic field is, and then we have a bunch of options. So the correct option will be BIL sine theta. BIL क्या है? Basically B is the magnetic field strength, I will be the current, and L will be the length of the conductor. So basically these are the three factors जिन पे जो force होती है वो depend कर रही होती है when we're talking about a current carrying conductor. Bear in mind यहाँ पे हमारे पास एक और option है, that is QB sin theta. This does not apply here because ये जो option है that is for the force that is acting on a current carrying charge, right? तो उस एक single charge पे जो force act कर रही होती है that will be defined by QB sin theta. लेकिन अगर हम बात करें करंट कैरिंग कंडक्टर की, so the correct answer will be BIL sin theta. The second question asks the ratio of molar gas constant to Avogadro's number R over Na is called what? Again, it's a very factual recall based question, so the correct answer is Boltzmann constant. Okay, for the next question, it asks us the electric force between two static point charges varies directly to the product of charges, with each charge n inversely with the square of the distance between them. So basically यहाँ पे जो बात हो रही है that is the Coulomb's law, according to which हम लोग जो force experience हो रही होती है between two point charges जो static होते हैं यानी अपनी जगह पे fix होते हैं, so उनके बीच में जो force experience कर रहे होते हैं दोनों charges जो आपस में force experience कर रहे होते हैं, that is found out using the Coulomb's law. So the correct answer will be Coulomb's law. Again, it's a very factual based question. Let's move on to the next one. So here we have another factual based question. This made asks us in radioactivity the product of half-life and decay constant is, as we all know, simple answer है काफी 0.693 will be the correct answer. So for the next question we have the change in potential energy per unit charge between 2 points in an electric field is what? So again this is the definition of potential difference. कैसे? Basically potential difference की definition होती है that is एक पॉइंट चार्ज ने अपनी ओरिजिनल स्टार्टिंग लोकेशन से दूसरी लोकेशन तक जाने में कितनी एनर्जी लूज की, तो पॉइंट ए से लेके पॉइंट बी के बीच में जितना भी डिक्रीज हुआ होगा या फिर आप कह सकते हो पोटेंशियल में चेंज आया होगा, दैट इज द पोटेंशियल डिफरेंस. सो दैट इज द एग्जैक्ट डेफिनेशन ऑफ इट. ठीक है, सो अगेन द करेक्ट आंसर विल बी पोटेंशियल डिफरेंस, ऑप्शन बी. So the next question asks us which of the following statements is correct. Option A is the magnetic field exerts a force if the charged particle moves opposite to the magnetic field. A magnetic field never exerts a force on a charged particle. A magnetic field exerts a force if the charged particle moves parallel to the magnetic field. A magnetic field exerts its force if the charged particle moves perpendicular to the magnetic field. So basically as I mentioned थोड़ी देर पहले कि जो चार्ज पार्टिकल के ऊपर जो मैग्नेटिक फील्ड जो मैग्नेटिक फील्ड की वजह से जो फोर्स एक्ट कर रही होती है दैट इज कैलकुलेटेड बाय QVB sin थीटा. अब अगर हमारे पास QVB sin थीटा यूज हो रहा है दैट मीन्स टू गेट द मैक्सिमम वैल्यू ऑफ sin थीटा वी हैव टू यूज sin 90. तो दैट जस्ट प्रूव्स कि जब चार्ज पार्टिकल परपेंडिकुलर मूव करेगा मैग्नेटिक फील्ड के, only then we will get sin 90 is equals to 1, and then we will get the exact value of QBB. So this is how you get the maximum force, and it basically happens when the charged particle is moving perpendicular to the magnetic field. So D will be the correct answer. So question number 144 says the resistivity of a material depends upon option A weight of the material, B charge of the material, C shape of the material, D size of the material, and E temperature of the material. Now as we all know कि size, shape, weight ये कुछ ऐसी properties हैं जिन पे जो resistivity है it does not depend on that. Only property the only factor that it actually depends upon is the temperature of the material. जितना temperature हम increase करेंगे resistivity increase होती जाएगी, यानी हम कह सकते हैं temperature is directly proportional to the resistivity of the material. So the correct option will be E, that is temperature of the material. Question number 145, really simple. The speed of electromagnetic waves, or commonly known as C, in free space is what? As we all know, electromagnetic wave कोई भी हो, it travels with the speed of what? It travels with the speed of light, जिसे हम C भी abbreviate करते हैं. So speed of light कितनी होती है हमारे पास? 3 times 10 into the power of 8 meters per second. So जो correct option होगा हमारे पास, that will be A. Okay, so the question number 146 says the constant power output of a machine is 6 watts. The energy delivered by it in 2 minutes is, and then we have a bunch of options. So as we all know, the equation for energy is power into time, right? Please bear with my writing. ठीक है, so basically power हमारे पास है 6 watts and we can multiply it by 2 minutes. अब 2 minutes क्या होता है? 2 minutes is basically 120 seconds, right? Because हम minutes में calculation नहीं कर सकते, we have to convert it into the SI unit, that is seconds. तो 2 minutes में कितने seconds होंगे हमारे पास? 120 seconds. So we do that and the final answer that we'll get is 720 joules. Okay, so option B will be the correct answer. Right, so the next question says the charge to mass ratio EM of an electron is what? So इसमें basically हमें electron के charge divide करना है एक electron के mass से. So as we know कि charge of the electron approximately हमारे पास 1.602 multiplied by 10 power minus 19 coulombs होता है, right? And if you talk about the mass of the electron kgs में, so that will be 9.109 multiplied by 10 power minus 31 kgs, right? तो इन दोनों numbers को अगर हम divide करें तो the answer that we get is 1.76 multiplied by 10 power 11 coulombs per kg. Again, इसको अगर आप divide करने बैठोगे तो it would take a lot of time. So it's better कि if you rather just memorize this number, right? So the charge to mass ratio of an electron is 1.76 multiplied by 10 power 19 coulombs over kg. Alright, so this question says if the instantaneous velocity of a body is equal to the average velocity of the body, then option A, the body moves with decreasing velocity, the body moves with variable acceleration, the body moves with uniform velocity, the body moves with uniform acceleration, or the body moves with an increasing velocity. So the correct answer will be uniform velocity. Why? Because क्वेश्चन says कि इंस्टेंटेनियस वेलोसिटी भी और एवरेज वेलोसिटी भी दोनों इक्वल है, राइट? तो अगर एक बॉडी जिसकी एवरेज वेलोसिटी इंस्टेंटेनियस की इक्वल हो जाती है, दैट मीन्स कोई चेंज आ ही नहीं रहा है बॉडी में, राइट? वरना हमारी जो इंस्टेंटेनियस वेलोसिटी होती है दैट इज ऑलमोस्ट ऑलवेज डिफरेंट टू द एवरेज वेलोसिटी. एवरेज क्या है? दो पॉइंट के बीच का जो दो पॉइंट्स को ऐड करके डिवाइड बाय 2 कर दिया, दैट इज योर एवरेज वेलोसिटी. इंस्टेंटेनियस यानी किसी एक इंस्टेंट की वेलोसिटी. सो सिर्फ एक ही केस होता है जब ये दोनों इक्वल हो जाती हैं, दैट इज द केस ऑफ यूनिफॉर्मिटी यानी यूनिफॉर्म वेलोसिटी. सो दैट वुड बी द करेक्ट आंसर. Okay, so this question asks us the waves that require medium for their propagation are, and then we have a bunch of options. So basically, if you look at the definition of mechanical waves, तो उसकी definition क्या होती है? These are basically the waves that require a medium for their propagation, right? जैसे कि आपके पास sound waves हो गई, water waves हो गई. These are all the type of waves जिसमें हमें एक medium की requirement होती है, right? Without a medium ये propagate नहीं कर पाएंगे. So according to that definition, our correct answer will be C, that is mechanical waves. So question number 151 says the SI unit of the electric field is what? So if you guys remember, let me just quickly annotate. ठीक है. So basically हमारे पास जो electric field की जो equation होती थी, just right here, electric field की जो equation थी हमारे पास, that was force over चार्ज, राइट। तो फोर्स के हमारे पास यूनिट क्या होता है, हमारे पास फोर्स का यूनिट होता है न्यूटन, एंड देन जो चार्ज का न्यूटन होता है हमारे पास दैट इज कूलम्स। सो द करेक्ट आंसर विल बी न्यूटन over coulombs. Okay, so 152 says an electron and a proton enter in a magnetic field perpendicularly with the same momentum. अब क्या होगा, basically they move with the undeflected, they move undeflected in the opposite directions, or do they move or does the electron move more than the proton, या फिर will they move equally, or the proton deflects more than the electron, or will they not deflect at all. So again यहाँ पे हमें एक equation use करनी होगी, that is force is equals to QVB, ठीक है। अब यहाँ पे अगर उन्होंने लिखा हुआ है पहले से कि enter in a magnetic field perpendicularly, so we don't have to write sin theta because sin 90 again it's equal to 1, so the equation just becomes QVB. यहाँ पे हमें जो तीन चीज़ें मेंशन की हुई हैं, that is the charge which is Q, the velocity which is V, and the magnetic field strength which is V, ठीक है। So the only thing that is different here, क्योंकि यहाँ पे मोमेंटम भी सेम है तो वेलोसिटी सेम हो गई, ठीक है। हमारे पास जो मैग्नेटिक फील्ड है वो भी सेम ही होगी। द ओनली थिंग दैट इज डिफरेंट हियर इज द चार्ज दैट इज क्यू। सो यहाँ पे डिफरेंस क्या आएगा, सिर्फ प्लस और माइनस का। इलेक्ट्रॉन के लिए इट विल बी माइनस एंड प्रोटॉन के लिए इट विल बी प्लस, लेकिन द डिफ्लेक्शन विल बी इक्वल। बस फर्क क्या आएगा कि दे विल डिफ्लेक्ट इन ऑपोजिट डायरेक्शंस, बाकी जो मैग्नीट्यूड होगा डिफ्लेक्शन का दैट विल बी completely same. So the correct option is C. They will deflect equally. Alright, so this next question says a body starts from rest and falls freely under the action of gravity. The distance covered by it in t seconds is what? So to solve this question, we basically have to use and modify the third equation of motion. And if you remember the third equation of motion, उसमें क्या होता था? It was basically displacement is equal to ut. Ut क्या है? Ut basically initial velocity multiplied by time है, ठीक है। ut plus half at square, a इधर हमारे पास acceleration होती है, nt time होता है। अब अगर as this question says a body starts from rest, as you can see right here, so अगर body rest से start करिए that means there is no initial velocity, right? Initial velocity will be zero, so ut क्या हो जाएगा हमारे पास इस third equation of motion में zero, so the only thing that we will be left with is half at square, ठीक है, and this will be equal to the distance covered, right? और displacement, या फिर इसको height भी कह सकते हैं। अब यहाँ पे क्या होगा, जो acceleration है that will be converted into acceleration due to gravity, right? Because हमें यहाँ पे free fall की situation दी हुई है। So और हमें पता करना है कि what will be the distance covered by t seconds. So that actually becomes your answer because आपसे distance ही पूछा है, we don't have to further derive it into something else. So यहाँ पे जो correct option होगा that will be half gt square. Okay, so question number 154 asks, the total energy of a body at any instant executing simple harmonic motion is what? So अगर इधर हम लोग एक scenario ले लें, let's say of a simple pendulum, right? Pendulum हमारे पास rotate कर रहे हैं in this sort of motion, right? तो इसकी जो total energy है ना, as we know कि simple harmonic motion का जो rule है, that is the total energy of the body at all points remains conserved. जो total energy होती है which is basically the sum of the potential energy and the total kinetic energy, तो वो हमेशा at all points constant रहता है हमारे पास। potential energy और kinetic energy में changes आते हैं but उनका जो sum है वो हमेशा constant रहता है, and वो sum क्या होता है हमारे पास, that is half kx square. So हमारे पास option जो है option B which is energy is equals to half kx square will be the correct answer. So this question asks, a reverse biased semiconductor diode acts as a what? On switch, inverter, off switch, amplifier and rectifier. And as we all know, एक reverse bias semiconductor diode जो होता है, it acts as a rectifier. So the correct answer will be rectifier. Okay, so this question says For maximum work done by a constant force, the angle between the force and the displacement should be. So इस question में we basically have to use the equation of work, that is Ft cos theta, right? तो basically cos theta में अगर हम लोग ये सारे angles में से अगर 0 डालेंगे, so that's the only way to get a 1 out of cos theta, right? Cos 0 is equals to 1. So जो maximum work done हमारे पास आएगा ना, that will be using the angle 0, यानी जब force और displacement के बीच में जो angle है वो 0 हो जाएगा, यानी एक ही direction में दोनों act कर रहे हैं. So our correct answer will be option E. Okay, so question number 157 says a body is moving in a circle with a constant speed. Which of the following statements is true? There is a force acting on the body at a tangent to the circle. There is a force acting on the body towards the center of the circle, or there is no acceleration in the body. There is a force acting on the body away from the center of the circle, or there is a net force acting on the body that is 0. तो बेसिकली हमारे पास एक बॉडी है, अगर वो सर्कुलर मोशन एग्जिबिट कर रही है एंड कांस्टेंट स्पीड से रोटेट कर रही है, राइट? तो अगर उसकी डायरेक्शन, अगर वो सर्कुलर मोशन में मूव कर रही है, दैट मीन्स उसकी डायरेक्शन चेंज हो रही है, राइट? विच मीन्स अगर डायरेक्शन चेंज हो रही है, दैट मीन्स वेलोसिटी भी चेंज हो रही है. Because velocity is a vector quantity, it does not only depend upon the magnitude, right? It also depends upon the direction. तो अगर डायरेक्शन चेंज हो रही है, that means there is a change in the velocity and hence there is a change in the acceleration. तो no acceleration वाले ऑप्शन तो हमारे पास गलत हो जाएंगे. तो ये जो change in acceleration आ रहा है, ये किस डायरेक्शन में आ रहा है? That is basically in the direction towards the center of the circle, right? So the correct option will be there is a force acting on the body towards the center of the circle, and that force is called what? It is called as the centripetal force. So the correct answer will be B. So the next question says, what is the unit of the potential difference, which is similar to the voltage? तो उसका हमारे पास unit होगा volt. Really simple question. Okay, so for the next question, it asks us, in the SI system, the specific heat capacity is measured in. So हम specific heat capacity का जो formula होता है वो इधर apply कर लेते हैं. It is basically heat divided by mass times change in temperature, right? So इसको अगर हम units में convert करें तो हमारे पास units आएंगे joules divided by kg times Kelvin, which is the SI unit for temperature. So the correct option will be joules divided by kg. Yeah, option A will be the correct answer. So here we have another factual recall question. The time period of uniform circular motion is given as. So इसमें basically in terms of circular motion हमें time period निकालना होता है. So as we all know, इसका जो formula होता है that is 2 pi over omega, जिसको आप angular velocity भी कहते हो. So the correct answer will be time period is equals to 2 pi over angular velocity. Okay, so for question number 161, it asks us, in the mathematical relationship, there's a symbol that is equal to hv. So what is that symbol basically called? So either hv basically Planck's constant multiplied by frequency को represent कर रहा है, and that is equal to work function. अब work function हमारे पास क्या होता है? Work function is basically the energy required. Obviously Planck's constant into frequency is the formula for energy, right? So work friction basically वो energy होती है that is required to strip the electrons out of a metal, या फिर उतनी energy required जितनी एक metal के अंदर जो electrons को उससे eject कर दें, ठीक है, जो उसकी binding forces को overcome कर दें, that energy is called as work function. And the next question says the unit of current. Again, very simple question. The unit of current is what? Coulomb per second, right? Let me just mark it. इसको हम एम्पियर भी कह सकते हैं, right? Because coulomb किसके लिए होता है? coulomb charge के लिए होता है, and charge over time यानी charge over second is what? it is amperes. Okay, so this question says fast moving electrons stopped by a heavy metallic target in an evacuated glass tube give rise to the production of. The options are beta rays, gamma rays, X-rays, cosmic rays, and alpha rays. So first of all, cosmic rays, though it's part of the outer space, right? तो outer space में these rays are being produced, right? So cosmic rays तो आंसर नहीं हो सकता. तो और बाकी के जो हमारे पास ऑप्शंस हैं gamma rays, beta rays, alpha rays, these are you know emitted by radioactive substances. So the only option that is remaining and the only correct option that we will have is X-rays. So जब भी आप किसी एटम को हाई एनर्जी इलेक्ट्रॉन से स्ट्राइक करते हो अराउंड 1000 वोल्ट के करीब, सो यानी काफ़ी एनर्जी के साथ आप उसको स्ट्राइक करते हो, सो द एमिशन ऑफ एक्स रेज इज डन. So next up we have another very simple question, factual recall based question. The alternating EMF that is generated by an AC generator is given by which formula? So हमारे पास ऑप्शन हैं EMF के BVL sin theta, NBL sin theta, NBL cos theta, BNA W cos theta, या फिर इसको ओमेगा भी कह सकते हो आप, BNA ओमेगा sin theta and BVL cos theta. So basically जो EMF इंड्यूस हो रहा होता है, सॉरी जो ऑल्टरनेटिंग EMF हमारे पास जनरेट हो रहा होता है AC जनरेटर के थ्रू, दैट डिपेंड्स ऑन अराउंड 4 फैक्टर्स, राइट. एक आपका हो गया मैग्नेटिक फील्ड स्ट्रेंथ हो गया, फिर जो कॉइल है उसमें जो नंबर ऑफ टर्न्स हैं उस पर डिपेंड करता है विच इज़ n, एंड देन द सरफेस एरिया ऑफ द कॉइल जो कि A हो गया हमारा, एंड देन लास्टली जो ओमेगा साइन है दैट रिप्रेजेंट्स एंगुलर वेलोसिटी. So according to that, the only correct option that we have is DNA, angular velocity sin theta. So the alternating EMF generated by an AC generator will be EMF is equals to DNA, angular velocity times sin theta. That will be a correct answer. Okay, so here the question says in an n-type semiconductor, the minority carriers are photons, electrons, protons, holes, or neutrons. So हमारे पास दो टाइप के सेमीकंडक्टर्स होते हैं, n-type and p-type, right? This question is related to doping, right? Doping वाला concept I hope आप लोगों को याद होगा. So basically दो टाइप के सेमीकंडक्टर्स हैं, n-type और p-type. n-type में हमारे पास एक इलेक्ट्रॉन जो है वो एक्स्ट्रा होता है, right? So that electron becomes the majority carrier. ठीक है. p-type में हमारे पास एक इलेक्ट्रॉन डेफिशिएंट होता है, so that becomes, तो जो होल होता है हमारे पास जो इलेक्ट्रॉन डेफिशिएंसी होती है दैट बिकम्स द मेजॉरिटी कैरियर. लेकिन क्वेश्चन हियर हैज आस्क्ड अस माइनॉरिटी कैरियर. तो अगर एन टाइप का मेजॉरिटी इलेक्ट्रॉन है कैरियर, तो व्हाट विल बी द माइनॉरिटी? ऑब्वियसली होल्स. सो होल्स हियर बी द करेक्ट आंसर. So the next question says the binding energy of a deuteron is 2.3 MeV, right? Its binding energy per nucleon will be. So एक ड्यूट्रॉन है जिसकी बाइंडिंग एनर्जी 2.3 MeV है, राइट. अब वो पूछ रहे हैं कि एक न्यूक्लियन की बाइंडिंग एनर्जी कितनी होगी. सिंपली हमें क्या करना है, ड्यूट्रॉन का जो न्यूक्लियन नंबर है वो कैलकुलेट करना है, विच इज़ ऑल्सो गिवन हियर, इट इज़ 2. ठीक है. तो न्यूक्लियन क्या होता है बेसिकली इलेक्ट्रॉन प्लस प्रोटॉन, सॉरी न्यूट्रॉन प्लस प्रोटॉन को अगर आप प्लस कर दो तो यू गेट द न्यूक्लियन नंबर, राइट. सो इन दिस केस इट इज़ 2. So if we divide 2.3 MeV by 2, we will get the binding energy per nucleon, right? So if we do that, the answer that we will get is 1.1 MeVs. So that will be the correct answer. Okay, so question number 167 asks the mathematical relationship between magnetic flux and magnetic flux density is what? So I feel like at this point we should remember all of these integral formulas. So it's a very factual recall based question. So iska, as we all know, the answer will be PA cos theta. So A mentions that and it will be the correct answer. So let's move on. So this question says if the length of a simple pendulum is increased 4 times, then its time period A increases 2 times, B decreases 4 times, C remains the same, D increases 4 times, and E decreases 2 times. So if you remember, हमारे पास time period का जो formula होता था, that was 2 pi multiplied by length over gravity. right? This was our formula for the time period of a simple pendulum. तो यहाँ से हम देख सकते हैं कि जो टाइम पीरियड है दैट इज डायरेक्टली प्रोपोर्शनल टू द अंडर रूट ऑफ लेंथ. तो क्वेश्चन ये कह रहा है कि जो लेंथ है हमने उसको 4 टाइम्स इंक्रीज कर दिया, राइट? यानी 4x हमने लेंथ को कर दिया. सो दैट मीन्स अगर वो 4 अंडर रूट हो जाएगा तो इट बिकम्स व्हाट? इट बिकम्स 2x, राइट? दैट मीन्स जो हमारा जो टाइम पीरियड है दैट विल इंक्रीज बाय 2x. तो हमारा टाइम पीरियड हाँ, so the correct option will be increases 2 times. Alright, so this one says in the equation of nuclear decay हमारे पास एक equation है that says P1 converts into N plus X, right? अब P इधर क्या है? P हमारे पास प्रोटॉन है, N हमारे पास क्या है? N हमारे पास न्यूट्रॉन है. But it also says plus X. अब वो पूछ रहे हैं कि X जो पार्टिकल है वो क्या है. तो बेसिकली हमें इधर ये क्वेश्चन सॉल्व करने के लिए लॉ ऑफ कंजर्वेशन ऑफ मास एंड चार्ज ये दोनों अप्लाई करनी होगी. यानी मास भी on the right side of the equation and on the left side of the equation कंजर्व रहेगा एंड जो चार्ज है वो भी लेफ्ट और राइट साइड पे सेम रहना चाहिए, राइट? सो इधर हुआ क्या, एक प्रोटॉन था जिसका चार्ज +1 था एंड उसका एक मास भी था, वो दो पार्टिकल्स में कन्वर्ट हो गया न्यूट्रॉन में. सो न्यूट्रॉन का जो चार्ज होता है दैट इज एज वी ऑल नो इट्स 0, राइट? और उसका एक सर्टेन मास भी होता है. लेकिन अगर न्यूट्रॉन का चार्ज 0 है, सो द अदर पार्टिकल x नीड्स टू हैव अ चार्ज ऑफ +1 सो दैट हमारी जो लेफ्ट साइड है इक्वेशन की P1 व्हिच आल्सो हैज अ चार्ज ऑफ +1 वो बैलेंस हो जाए, राइट? सो मुझे पता चल गया कि x का जो चार्ज है दैट इज +1. अब बात आती है मास की. तो न्यूट्रॉन का कुछ मास होगा, राइट? which means some of the mass from P1 is already been used. तो एक पार्टिकल x needs to have a very less mass, यानी बहुत कम उसका मास होना चाहिए. एंड ऐसी डिस्क्रिप्शन सिर्फ एक ही पार्टिकल जो हमारे ऑप्शंस में है वो फिट करता है, दैट इज पोसाइट्रॉन, जिसका चार्ज जो है वो +1 होता है एंड इट हैज अ वेरी स्लाइट मास. तो द करेक्ट आंसर विल बी पोसाइट्रॉन. Okay, so this question asks us a force of magnitude 10 newtons is acting along the x-axis. Its component along the y-axis will be. अब बेसिकली एक फोर्स है जो कि 10 न्यूटन के मैग्नीट्यूड से सिर्फ एक्स एक्सिस पे एक्ट कर रही है, वाई एक्सिस का कुछ भी मेंशन नहीं किया गया, ठीक है? तो वी ऑल नो कि एक्स एक्सिस और वाई एक्सिस के बीच में एंगल क्या होता है? 90 डिग्रीज का. अब वो पूछ रहे हैं कि जो वाई एक्सिस का जो कंपोनेंट होगा, जो 10 न्यूटन की फोर्स एक्स एक्सिस पे लग रही है, उसी का कंपोनेंट वाई एक्सिस पे क्या बन रहा होगा, राइट? तो बीच में गैप कितना आ गया? 90 डिग्रीज का, राइट? तो अगर फोर्स इधर एक्स एक्सिस के अलोंग लग रही है, अलोंग मीन्स बिल्कुल 0 डिग्री का एंगल है, राइट? दैट मीन्स कि जो वाई एक्सिस है उसके अलोंग जो फोर्स लग रही है वो बिल्कुल 0 होगी, राइट? क्यों? तो अब एंगल हमारे पास 0 है और अगर वाई कॉम्पोनेंट निकालना है तो वाई कॉम्पोनेंट में हम क्या यूज करते हैं? साइन, राइट? तो अब इधर बेसिकली हम लोग साइन टाइम्स 0 डिग्रीज करेंगे, राइट? बिकॉज फोर्स जो है उसका जो जिस एंगल पर फोर्स लगेगी दैट इज 0 डिग्रीज. तो अगर हम साइन 0 कैलकुलेट करें तो बेसिकली गेट व्हाट? वी गेट अ वैल्यू ऑफ 0. So that just tells us कि जो y component है इस force का that will be 0 and that will be the correct answer. Okay, so this question says the proton number of a nucleus increases after the emission of which particle? Option A says a negative beta particle, option B says a positive beta particle, option C says proton, alpha particle, neutron, right? So थोड़ी देर पहले हम लोगों ने यही कॉन्सेप्ट डिस्कस किया था कि both sides of the equation equal होना जरूरी है according to the law of conservation of charge and mass, right? इधर बेसिकली बात हो रही है सिर्फ मास की, इधर सिर्फ बात हो रही है चार्ज की, राइट? तो अगर हम एक न्यूक्लियस में से हमें अगर उसमें प्रोटॉन नंबर ऐड करना है, राइट? तो यानी हमें एक नेगेटिव पार्टिकल उसमें से निकालना होगा, राइट? ओनली दैट वे हमारा जो द अदर साइड ऑफ द इक्वेशन है दैट विल गेट बैलेंस, राइट? सो अगर हम उसमें से एक बेटा पार्टिकल, नेगेटिव बेटा पार्टिकल एमिट कर दें, सो न्यूक्लियस को फिर एक प्रोटॉन नंबर इंक्रीज करना पड़ेगा टू बैलेंस दैट नेगेटिव पार्टिकल, ठीक है? सो दैट विल बी आवर करेक्ट आंसर. Okay, so this question asks us ER is equals to E over E naught is called what? So basically ये जो ratio है that is made around the permittivities of mediums, right? सो ई जो हमारे पास होता है यहाँ पे, हाँ ये वाला जो ई है हमारे पास, दैट इज कॉल्ड द परमिटिविटी ऑफ ए मीडियम, ठीक है। ई नॉट जो हमारे पास होता है दैट इज कॉल्ड द परमिटिविटी ऑफ फ्री स्पेस। अब जो ई आर है ना, that is basically a ratio of permittivity of a medium and the permittivity of the free space. इससे हम different materials की जो permittivity होती है वो calculate करते हैं. So that is why it becomes the relative permittivity of the medium, and that is our correct answer. Just mark it. There we go. So option C is the correct answer. Another very simple question. Newton is not the SI unit of what? Newton हमें पता है कि जो फोर्स का इट्स बेसिकली द SI unit of force, right? फोर्सेस हमारे पास डिफरेंट टाइप की होती हैं. सेंट्रीपिटल फोर्स हो सकती है, टेंसाइल फोर्स हो सकती है, कूलम्स फोर्स हो सकती है, फ्रिक्शन हो सकती है. But the only quantity that's mentioned here, momentum, it does not have the SI unit Newton. So momentum will be the right answer here. So the next question says, Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction is mathematically represented as. Again, we have a similar case of factual recall. हमें यहाँ पे again वही वाली बात है, सारी जो formulas हैं, जो सारी equations हैं, वो याद होनी चाहिए in order to ace the MCAT, right? तो again यहाँ पे हमें formula simply write करना है. तो Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction का क्या formula होता है? It is basically n multiplied by change of magnetic flux through the coil divided by change in time. So that will be, this will be a correct option, option D, right? N here represents the number of coils, and delta represents change in magnetic flux through the coil, and delta T is change in time. So that will be a correct answer. So the next one says, in the law of radioactive decay, the ratio n over n naught is called what? Activity, relative activity, absolute activity, stability, decay constant. So it is basically called the relative activity, because n over n naught is basically the ratio that tells us what fragment of what fraction, or what fraction remains after the radioactive decay has taken place, right? Compared to what we had initially, right? So it is basically the relative activity. It represents the relative activity. So for the last question of the physics section of this paper, we have another factual recall question जिसमें again हमें formula ही याद करना है. So synth CAT में usually आपको इस तरह के questions मिलेंगे जिसमें आपको basically रट्टा लगाना होगा, और जो भी formulas हैं, equations हैं, वो सारी याद करनी पड़ेंगी, so that आप कोई भी question miss ना कर सको, right? So this question says, in Einstein's photoelectric equation, the electric energy of photoelectrons is what? So basically, जो maximum kinetic energy होती है, that was defined by Einstein. That was what? It was energy minus the work function, यानी hv या फिर hf, जो कि basically Planck's constant multiplied by frequency है, minus the work function. Work function क्या था? The minimum energy that is required to eject the electrons from the metal, right? So option D will be our correct answer. So with that, we have covered the physics part of this paper. Now let's move on to the chemistry portion. Thank you guys. So the first question that we have is, shell-it means, and then we have the options: bidentate, iron, monodentate, crab claws, and metal. So जो shell-it का जो literal meaning होता है ना, that is crab claws. ऐसा क्यों होता है? ऐसा इसलिए होता है कि एक shell-it में basically there is a ligand and there is a central metal ion, ठीक है? तो जो ligand होता है ना, वो central metal पे attach कर लेता है, coordination bond बनाता है उससे, right? At different coordination points, ठीक है? So that is basically a complex, जिसको हम complex कहते हैं. So this is why, and the whole structure looks like a crab. So that's why a shell-it means crab claws. So mark कर लेते हैं. D will be the correct answer. Okay, so the next question says, the shape of an ammonia molecule is. तो बेसिकली अमोनिया का जो मॉलिक्यूल होता है, इसमें हम लोग शेप प्रिडिक्ट करने के लिए यूज करते हैं वेस्पर थ्योरी, राइट? दैट इज दी वैलेंस शेल इलेक्ट्रॉन पेयर रिपल्जन थ्योरी. तो इसमें बेसिकली होता ये है कि अमोनिया के अंदर हमारे पास अमोनिया बेसिकली NH3 होता है, राइट? अब NH3 में सेंट्रल जो एलिमेंट है हमारे पास, दैट इज नाइट्रोजन. ठीक है, एंड देन दी अदर वन आर 3 हाइड्रोजन एटम्स। ठीक है, तो हो गई ये कि जो नाइट्रोजन है उसके पास 5 वैलेंस इलेक्ट्रॉन्स है, राइट, एंड जो हाइड्रोजन हमारे पास 3 है, तो हमारे पास जो 2 इलेक्ट्रॉन है वो अभी भी फ्री रह जाएंगे, राइट, एंड ड्यू टू दैट जो लोन पेयर होगा इलेक्ट्रॉन्स का, दैट विल क्रिएट मोर रिपल्जन, राइट, बिकॉज जो लोन पेयर्स होते हैं वो ज़्यादा रिपल्जन क्रिएट करते हैं, सो फॉर दैट रीजन जो शेप होगा उसका टेट्राहीड्रल हो जाएगा। Alright, so the next question says it is used as a preservative in antibacterial agents in livestock as and antibacterial agents in the livestock feed. तो इसमें हमारे पास we have a bunch of options: butyric acid, formic acid, caroic acid, propionic acid and valeric acid. ठीक है, तो basically इसका आंसर it's a factual recall question. तो इसका जो आंसर होता है that is propionic acid because it has properties जिनके through it inhibits the growth of bacterial and fungal agents. ठीक है, so that's why it is used as a preservative. Again, here we have a very simple question, factual recall है ये भी. The charge of an electron is what? 1.602 10 is to power minus 19 coulombs. So E will be the correct answer. Right, so the next question asks us the equilibrium of this reaction would not be affected by an increase in pressure. Now, if you guys remember, according to the Le Chatelier principle, an increase in pressure will favor the side which has the fewer moles, यानी जहाँ पे number of moles कम होंगे वहाँ पे जो है reaction shift हो जाएगा, reversible reaction shift हो जाएगा if there is an increase in pressure in the system. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे हमें क्या करना है, we just have to count the number of moles here. So option A में we have 3 on this side, 2 on this side, right? So unequal moles है. Option B में we have 2 on this side and 2 on this side. Option C may we have 3 on this side, 2 on this side. Either we have 1 on this side and 2 on this side. Here we have 4 here and just 2 here. So the only option this may would not be affected because equal number of moles हैं, that is B. See, so B will be our correct answer here. We just highlight it. So this next question says the density of benzene is what? Again, it's a factual recall question. So again, these sort of questions require you to cram some of the knowledge, memorize some of the properties of some elements, compounds वगैरह, so that you can solve these questions. So density जो benzene की होती है is basically 0.88 grams per centimeter cube, which is less than water जिसकी जो density होती है, I'll write it down, it is 1 grams per centimeter cube. ठीक है, just so you guys remember this. Alright, so the next question says, according to the Raoult's law, the relative lowering of vapor pressure is equal to what? Option A, mole fraction of solute. Option B, mole fraction of solvent, molality, and parts per million. So इसका the correct answer होगा the relative lowering of vapor pressure is equal to mole fraction of solute. Basically, the decrease in the vapor pressure of a solvent when a non-volatile solute is added is proportional to the concentration of the solute in the solution. Yani, as the amount increases, the vapor pressure of the solvent decreases, and this change is proportional to the solute's mole fraction. Right, so that's why the correct option here, or the only viable option here, will be mole fraction of the solute. Alright, so the next question says, when an unsymmetrical alkene goes addition reactions, the negative part of the attacking reagent is added to that double bonded carbon atom which contains what? Highest number of chloride atoms, lesser number of hydrogen atoms, or highest number of hydrogen atoms, moderate number of hydrogen atoms, and lesser number of chloride atoms. So इसका जो correct answer होगा, that will be according to the Markovnikov rules, will be lesser number of hydrogen atoms. ऐसा क्यों होता है? बेसिकली जो मार्कोनिकोव रूल होता है वो स्टेट करता है कि जितने कम आपके पास हाइड्रोजन एटम्स होंगे कार्बन पे उतना ज़्यादा इलेक्ट्रॉन डोनेटिंग इफेक्ट होता है अल्काइल ग्रुप का, राइट, एंड जितना ज़्यादा इलेक्ट्रॉन डोनेटिंग इफेक्ट होगा द मोर स्टेबल विल द स्ट्रक्चर बी दैट विल बी फॉर्म्ड. ठीक है, सो उस स्टेबिलिटी की वजह से जो जो अटैकिंग रिएजेंट होता है लेसर नंबर ऑफ हाइड्रोजन एटम्स वाले कार्बन पे अटैक करता है. Okay, so the next one says according to Charles at 0 degrees Kelvin or minus 2783.15 degrees Celsius the volume of a gas should be what. So this is basically Charles law जिसमें हमें जो एब्सोल्यूट जीरो पॉइंट होता है उसके बारे में मेंशन किया हुआ है. सो अगर हम एक हाइपोथेटिकल सिचुएशन में -273.15 डिग्रीज तक सेल्सियस तक टेम्परेचर ले जाएं तो हाइपोथेटिकली the volume of the gas will be 0. Okay, so this next question is the paramagnetic behavior of molecules such as oxygen molecules cannot be explained by which theory. So इसका जो correct answer है that is valence bond theory. Reason being, valence bond theory predicts oxygen as a diamagnetic molecule, right? Whereas, as the question mentions, it is a paramagnetic molecule, right? So that is basically explained greatly by theories such as the MOT, molecular orbital theory, जिसमें we talk about anti-bonding orbitals and bonding orbitals, and that paramagnetic behavior of oxygen is explained by presence of the unpaired electrons in the antibonding orbital. So that's why so for this question particularly the correct answer will be valence bond theory. Okay, so for this next question we have that the decomposition of hydrogen peroxide or H2O2 is inhibited by which of these: MnO2, ethanol, glycerine, V2O5 or iron powder. So, and again it's a factual recall based question, जिसमें you just have to know some facts so that you can solve these. So basically the correct answer to this is glycerine, जिसमें basically it has the property of forming a protective layer over the hydrogen peroxide molecules so that it protects it from external agents, right? And it also is used commercially in to protect hydrogen peroxide ताकि उसकी जो shelf life है वो extend हो सके, right? Elongate हो सके. So that's why the correct answer will be glycerine. Alright, so the next question is a very biology based question. It says it transports oxygen from the lungs to every tissue of the body. Not sure why this was included in chemistry, but obviously as we all know the correct answer will be hemoglobin, and I'm sure I don't have to explain why. Right, so next up we have another very factual recall based question. So the bond length between the carbon-carbon bond in benzene is what? Again, as we all know, it's 1.39 angstroms in benzene. Keep in mind it's different for alkanes and alkenes. So for alkanes it is 1.56 and for alkenes it's going to be 1.34, right? So for benzene it's 1.39 angstrom. Okay, for the next question, in an orbital of an atom, no two electrons can have the same set of four quantum numbers. At least one quantum number must be different. So, जो ये description है, it classically fits the Pauli's exclusion principle, which basically states कि एक जो electron होता है किसी एक orbital में, उसकी जो four sets of quantum numbers होता है, right? हर electron के लिए 4 sets of quantum numbers होते हैं, right? तो ऐसा बिल्कुल पॉसिबल नहीं है कि दो इलेक्ट्रॉन्स जो एक ही ऑर्बिटल में हो उनका उन दोनों के सेम चारों क्वांटम नंबर्स हों. इट इज़ इम्पॉसिबल, राइट? सो दिस इज बेसिकली द Pauli's exclusion principle, which is highlighted. Perfect. Okay, so this question asks us the IUPAC name of isopropyl alcohol is option A 1-butanol, B 2-propanol, C 1-propanol, D 2-butanol and E propanol. So basically इसका structure मैंने यहाँ पे नीचे provide कर दिया है. This is basically the structure of isopropyl alcohol. तो इसकी अगर हम IUPAC naming करने जाएं, right? तो सबसे पहले we have to follow some rules, which is कि सबसे पहला rule जो हमें follow करना है that is select the longest carbon chain containing the functional group, that is the OH, right? So we can start from maybe here till here, right? And then we have to number the chain this way कि जो OH group है उसको lowest possible number मिल जाए. But in this case अगर हम यहाँ से भी start करें या यहाँ से start करें तो the number is going to be 2, right? And then to end the name हमें बेसिकली जो OH ग्रुप की जो पोजीशन है उसको नाम से पहले नेम करना होगा, राइट? सो इन दिस केस विच इज 2. So according to this diagram, the correct answer will become, okay, so the correct answer will become, just give me a minute. Yeah, it will become 2 propanol. Perfect. Right, so the next question asks us the unit of rate constant for the first order reaction is what? So first order reactions जो होते हैं उसमें basically जो concentration हम consider कर रहे होते हैं that is only for one reactant, right? तो let's say अगर हमारे पास एक reactant है A, तो उसकी हमें concentration consider करनी है and उसका rate constant हमें निकालना है, right? तो rate constant basically होता क्या है? K होता है ना? तो अगर हम रेट कांस्टेंट की जो इक्वेशन होगी दैट इज के इज इक्वल्स टू रेट डिवाइडेड बाय द कंसंट्रेशन ऑफ दैट रिएक्टेंट, राइट? तो अगर हम रेट को उससे डिवाइड करें कंसंट्रेशन से, तो द ओनली थिंग दैट वी विल हैव लेफ्ट इज एस, दैट इज एस पावर -1, राइट? So that will be our correct answer, because mole per liter per second, which is for the rate, divided by the whole thing divided by moles per liter, which is for the reactant, will give us what? अगर हम इसको simplify करें तो the only thing that we will have is 1 over S, right? So the correct answer will be C. Alright, so this next question over here asks us what is a volume, right? So volume, as we all know, is a state function, right? State functions क्या होते हैं? State functions are basically those thermodynamic properties जिनकी जो initial और final states हैं only they matter, right? Independent of the part taken to reach them. ठीक है? So that is basically what the definition of a state function is, and volume is one of them, right? And we have other examples as well, जैसे कि internal energy हो गई, enthalpy हो गई, and volume, stuff like that. So volume is a what? Volume is a state function. Alright, so the next question says a collection of gas over water is an example of which law? So इसका जो correct answer होगा that will be Dalton's law. Why? Because Dalton's law basically होता है क्या? Dalton's law ये होता है कि when there is a collection of gases, when there is a mixture of gases in a closed vessel, तो उन सारी gases का जो individual pressures जो होते हैं ना, एक एक gas का जो individual pressure होता है, उन सबको अगर हम sum निकालें उनका, so that will be equal to the pressure exerted by those by that mixture of those non-reacting gases. ठीक है, तो इसकी एक application collection of gas होती है over water. इसको मैंने नीचे mention भी किया हुआ है यहाँ पे, so let's just read it out. One of Dalton's law's application is that when gas is collected over water, the pressure of dry gas can be calculated using Dalton's law. When gas passes through the water, it becomes moist, and the total pressure now will be equal to the sum of the partial pressure of dry gas and the water vapors. तो इसमें अगर हम इस इक्वेशन को थोड़ा सा रीअरेंज कर दें, ड्राई गैस को सब्जेक्ट बना लें, so we can simply calculate its pressure by subtracting the total pressure of the system. Subtracting the pressure of the water vapors from the total pressure of the system, right? So that's how we'll get the pressure of the dry gas. So इसका correct answer हम mark कर लेते हैं C, Dalton's law. So for the next question we have dry ice is the example of what? Molecular solid, metallic solid, covalent solid, ionic solid, and plastic. So basically dry ice, इस question को solve करना बहुत easy है. You just have to know कि dry ice होता क्या है. Dry ice is basically solidified carbon dioxide gas, right? Carbon dioxide क्या है? It's a molecule, right? तो इसका correct answer क्या होगा? Molecular solid. So mark कर लेते हैं. Alright, so the next question says a low atmospheric pressure system is called what? So a low atmospheric pressure system is basically called a depression. This is basically a line from your Sin textbook board class 11 वाली जो किताब है उसकी ये एक line है, and इसको थोड़ा सा मैंने elaborate कर दिया नीचे. You can see a depression is a region of a low pressure. It is an area having low pressure as compared to the surroundings and is warmer, where moist warm air rises and then cools down. So the direction in which the wind blows is also anti-clockwise. The area has suffocating weather and invites clouds, winds, and precipitation. So now you know depression basically एक वो area होता है जहाँ पे there is low pressure. So this question asks us what is the normal pH of the human blood. And as we all know, we should know by this point, that is 7.35. It's basically a range 7.35 से लेके 7.45 तक की range होती है, but इधर जो closest answer है that is 7.35. Okay, so the next one asks us, which of the following is used to distinguish between a primary, secondary and tertiary alcohol? So clearly इसका answer will be Lucas reagent. Basically Lucas reagent जो होता है हमारे पास एक HCl plus zinc chloride का एक mixture होता है, and it is used as an agent that separates primary, secondary and tertiary alcohol. जो tertiary alcohols होते हैं वो इससे foreign reactors आते हैं, जो secondary alcohols होते हैं वो थोड़ा time लगाते हैं, and जो primary alcohols होते हैं वो काफ़ी देर लगाते हैं, या फिर कुछ cases में उनको heat भी करना पड़ता है in order to actually get them reacted, right? So the correct answer is Lucas's reagent. Okay, for the next one, question number 91 says an example of an endothermic reaction is A. Photosynthesis, B. Synthesis of ammonia, C. Nuclear fission, D. Oxidation of sulfur gases, or E. Burning of fuel and coal. All of these options B, C, D, E will all release energy, right? जब ये react करते हैं तो काफ़ी ज़्यादा energy release होती है, जैसे कि nuclear fission है हमारे पास में, there's a huge amount of energy being released. Oxidation of sulfur gases उसमें energy, उसमें heat release होती है. Burning of fuel में obviously heat release होती है. Even synthesis of NH3 में भी surprisingly heat release हो रही होती है. The only process here which is endothermic is photosynthesis. Basically the products हमारे पास होते हैं out of carbon dioxide and water, those are glucose and oxygen, right? So glucose is a high energy compound, तो हमारे पास energy इधर store हो रही है rather than being released. So photosynthesis will be an endothermic reaction. Right, so the next question is a fill in the blank. Stoichiometry is the study of dash relationship between reactants and products. So in it, products in a chemical reaction by using a balanced chemical equation. So it's the correct answer, as the entire statement states, will be quantitative. Why? Because stoichiometry में we deal with balancing of equations, right? हमारे पास equations होती है जिसमें हम numbers put on करके उसको balance करते हैं. So we clearly care about the quantity rather than the quality, right? So stoichiometry is the quantitative relationship. So option A will be the correct answer. Alright, so this one says ketones when treated with LiAlH4 reduce to what? So LiAlH4 is basically, as we all know, is a reducing agent. So we all know ketones को हम reduce करते हैं तो they convert into alcohols, and अगर हमको oxidize करते हैं तो they convert into carboxylic acid, right? So basically कौन से alcohol में convert होगा? Primary, tertiary, secondary. So here it will be converted into a secondary alcohol, because why? Ketone का जो carbonyl group है, first of all that will be converted into an OH group, which is the alcoholic group, right? लेकिन ketone में, as if you all know, कि जो carbonyl group होता है उसके साथ हमारे पास दो alkyl groups होते हैं, right? एक left side पे लगा हुआ और एक right side पे लगा हुआ होगा, right? And in the middle we will have the carbonyl group, right? तो जब OH CO की जगह हमारे पास OH आ जाएगा, so बराबर में हमारे पास कितने alkyl groups थे? हमारे पास दो alkyl groups थे, right? So that will give us a secondary alcohol. So secondary alcohol will be the right answer. Alright, so this question says the term active mass used in the law of mass action means. अक्सर स्टूडेंट्स इसमें कंफ्यूज जाते हैं because they confuse active mass with actual mass, जो कि kilograms में होता है, which is not true here. Active mass basically इधर concentration के लिए यूज हो रहा होता है. So active mass will be equal to what? Concentration, and concentration की units क्या होते हैं? Moles per dm cube, not dm square, dm cube. So option A will be the correct answer here. Alright, this question says, question number 95, the neutron was discovered by whom? So इसका ये काफ़ी बार repeat होता है ये question. इसका correct answer होगा James Chadwick. Again, it's a factual recall question. इसमें कोई concept वगैरह नहीं है, you just have to memorize this. This is one of the book lines, so it's just something that you have to know, right? So the correct answer will be James Chadwick. Alright, so the next question says, when chlorobenzene reacts with sodium hydroxide at 350 degrees Celsius and 150 atmospheric pressures, it gives rise to the formation of what compound? So basically इसमें chlorobenzene है हमारे पास, जिसके ऊपर हमारे पास एक chlorine लगा हुआ होता है, right? Chlorine element लगा हुआ होता है. We react that with sodium hydroxide, right? तो सोडियम हाइड्रोक्साइड का जो ONA ग्रुप होता है that will replace the chlorine atom of the that is attached with the benzene ring, right? So that will give rise to the sodium phenoxide. Again, it's one of the reactions of organic chemistry that you have to memorize because it does get asked a lot. Right, so the next question that we have here is the carboxylic acid is stronger than. Okay, so this is a very vague question. इसमें या तो there's some piece of information missing या फिर it's just how it is. तो इसके options हैं हमारे पास PCl5, H2SO4, HNO3, HCl and CH3OH, right? अब इसमें जो तीन options हमारे पास ये हैं H2SO4, HNO3, HCl, these are very strong acids. So there is no chance for carboxylic acids being stronger than them, right? The only two options that are correct are PCl5 and CH3OH. CH3OH जो है, it is an alcohol, so it does have some sort of acidity, but it definitely won't be stronger than carboxylic acid, right? But PCl5, it's not an acid, so it really won't have any sort of acidity, right? So it has to be the most the nearest correct answer, I would say. Or even if you say CH3OH, it also would be the correct answer here. So here we have another factual recall question. The initial discovery of natural gas in Pakistan dates back to when it was discovered at the Sui area of Balochistan. Again, ये book की line है, so we just have to memorize it at all costs. Because MDCAT में इस तरह के questions ज़रूर आते हैं, right? So इसका answer होगा 1955, which is option A. Alright, so the next question here says the reduction of aldehydes and ketones using the ZnHg amalgam, which is the zinc amalgam, and concentrated HCl results in the conversion to an alkane, right? This reaction is called as, so the correct answer होगा Wolff-Kishner reaction. Let me just mark it here. और इसकी explanation जो होगी sorry, just give me a minute. Correct answer जो होगा that will actually be Clemmensen reaction, not Wolff-Kishner, because Wolff-Kishner is also a reduction of aldehydes and ketones. उसमें भी alkane ही produce हो रहा होता है, but it is done by using agents such as potassium hydroxide and hydrazine, right? So it is the same reaction, but it has different reactants, right? Clemmensen में we use the zinc amalgam and concentrated HCl. So the correct answer will be Clemmensen reduction. Right, so this one says the deficiency of dash causes loss of weight, appetite and taste. Again, it's a very factual recall based question, तो इसका correct answer है zinc. Zinc की वजह से आपका जो appetite है वो lose हो जाती है, which leads to you eating less food. आपका जो taste है, taste senses आपके चले जाते हैं, hypoglycemia जिसको आप कहते हो, and आप appetite सही नहीं ले रहे होते, तो that leads to you losing weight, right? So the correct answer here will be zinc. Alright, so this question is from alkyl halides. The rate of an SN1 mechanism depends upon what? Concentration of the nucleophile, concentration of both substrate and nucleophile, polar non-polar solvent, concentration of substrate only, or the concentration of reactant. So the rate of SN1 mechanism basically depends upon the concentration of the substrate only. And जो हमारे पास SN2 mechanism होता है, उसमें we have concentration of both the substrate and the attacking nucleophile, right? So these are some of the facts that you have to memorize about SN1 reaction, SN2 reaction, E1 and E2 reactions as well, right? Because they are very high yield and they do get asked a lot. Concentration of reactant also makes sense, but it's a very vague term. So reactant is like आपके पास जो let's say कोई catalyst वगैरह act कर रहा है, तो वो भी reactant में count होगा. But substrate है, that is something that is being attacked by the nucleophile, right? So option D will be the correct answer. Alright, so the next question asks us, what's the number of the alpha amino acids? So हमारे पास जो alpha amino acids होते हैं वो basically होते क्या हैं? Alpha amino acids यानी जो alpha carbon होता है हमारे पास, उसी पे amine group और उसी पे भी carboxyl group लगा हुआ होता है. So that's an alpha amino acid, and there are 22 such alpha amino acids. Let's just mark that. That will be the correct answer. Now this question says aldehydes and ketones can be converted into alkane. This reaction is called as सो थोड़ी देर पहले हमने ये क्वेश्चन डिस्कस किया था कि जो अल्केन में जो रिडक्शन होती है दैट इज कॉल्ड एज ए क्लेमेंसन रिडक्शन और ए वोल्फ-केशनर रिडक्शन। तो इस क्वेश्चन में हमें बेसिकली स्पेसिफाई नहीं किया उन्होंने कि किस पाथवे से रिडक्शन हुई है। इफ इट वाज यूजिंग ए जिंक एमलगम तो द आंसर वुड हैव बीन क्लेमेंसन, या फिर if it was using a hydrazine and KOH mixture then it would have been Wolff-Kishner. So in this case both of these answers should be considered correct. So the next question says an example of a bidentate ligand among the following is. Bidentate ligand क्या होता है? Bi नाम से पता चल रहा है कि it is a ligand that donates two electron pairs to the central metal atom, right? यानी जो complex बनेगा वो बनेगा दो metal pair, दो ion pair, sorry दो electron pairs के through, right? So जो given options हैं इसमें bromide ion है हमारे पास, cyanide ion है, and then we have C2O4 2 negative, and then hydroxyl ion or chloride ion. So out of these options we can clearly tell that the oxalate ion is the only option here, C2O4 2 negative, that has the ability to donate two electronic pairs. बाकी के जो options हैं हमारे पास that will donate only one electronic pairs. Now this is something that you have to memorize कि कौन से हमारे पास monodentate ligands होते हैं और कौन से हमारे पास bidentate और कौन से polydentate ligands होते हैं. But the rest of the options are monodentate ligands, right? So the only option is, correct option is oxalate ion. Here we have another factual recall question. A fuel cell is a typical galvanic cell which is based on the reaction between which, let's say, which elements, right? Hydrogen, copper, methane, oxygen, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, oxygen, hydrogen, zinc. So a fuel cell is a very famous typical galvanic cell which is simply based upon a hydrogen reaction between hydrogen and oxygen, right? और इसमें जो हमारे पास जो net reaction होता है which results from the oxygen being reduced at the cathode, and जो hydrogen होती है that gets oxidized at the anode, यानी hydrogen है वो electrons lose कर रही होती है और oxygen है वो gain कर रहा होता है electrons, right? और इसका जो net reaction होता है that is simply the formation of water, यानी H2O. So the correct answer is hydrogen and oxygen. So question number 106 says the alkali metal that gives a yellow color during a flame test. So flame test जो होते हैं basically these are properties of alkali metals, right? उनको test करने के लिए आप basically you burn them under a flame, right? तो होता ये है कि जो electrons होते हैं they get excited and they jump to higher energy orbitals. यानी जब आप flame हटा देते हो so they get de-excited and they come back to their original orbitals, right? And in that process they emit some energy, जो extra energy उन्होंने gain की होती है. So हर different alkali metal की एक different spectrum में energy release हो रही होती है in the form of light. तो किसी की जो question मैंने पूछा है that is which one of them gives off the yellow color. So we have to memorize this table from the book that includes that sodium gives off the yellow color during a flame test. Alright, so the next question says that which one of the following possesses the weakest London dispersion forces. It's a very simple question. इसमें हमें कुछ group 7 molecules दिए हुए हैं. Fluoride है हमारे पास, हमारे fluorine है, bromine है, chlorine है और iodine है, and then we have helium. Helium basically it's a group 8 element, inert gas जिसको हम कहते हैं, right? So the rest of the options जो हमारे पास हैं they will have stronger London dispersion forces. Why? Because they're bimolecular, right? दो elements मिला के एक molecule बन रहा है, right? So that's why the only option that makes sense will be helium. Alright, this question says which of the following liquids show maximum surface tension? Water, mercury, ethyl alcohol, chloroform, and benzene. So the only two considerable options here are water and mercury. The rest of the three are highly irrelevant. Why? Because वैसे तो water की काफी high surface tension होती है because of hydrogen bonding, right? But let's not forget that the option B here, which is mercury, is actually a metal, and जो आपकी surface tension होती है that is highly dependent upon the type of bonding present in that substance, right? Mercury being a metal has metallic bonding, so obviously metallic bonding will be stronger than hydrogen bonding in water, so mercury will have the highest surface tension here. So correct answer will be B. Right, so this question says hydroquinone is a phenol. It contains two OH groups at which positions? So you have a bunch of options. So basically मैंने हाइड्रोक्विनोन का स्ट्रक्चर इधर ड्रॉ कर दिया है एंड इसमें हम देख सकते हैं कि हाइड्रोक्विनोन में we have one OH group on this side and then the other on this side. So according to the IUPAC naming, जहाँ पे फंक्शनल ग्रुप होता है हम वहीं से बेंजीन रिंग में नेमिंग शुरू करते हैं in order to give it the smallest possible number, right? So अगर हम इधर नंबर 1 दे दें and start the numbering from here या फिर इधर से भी कर लें कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So that will make hydroquinone have two OH groups at the positions 1 and 4. So A will be the correct answer. So the next question 110 says generally the actual yield is either less than the theoretical yield, equal to the theoretical yield, greater than the theoretical yield, and greater than the percent yield. So it is generally less than the theoretical yield. It's a very basic concept stoichiometry का. At this point we all should know it. So इसमें होता ये है कि basically actual yield जो होती है it is the maximum, sorry, it is the yield that can be produced in real life, right? जो भी हम reaction करते हैं उसके through जो real life में yield हमें मिलती है that is the actual yield. Theoretical yield is the yield that should be produced according to the balance equation, जो कि theory में हम produce कर रहे होते हैं, right? And it's always more than the actual yield. ऐसा क्यों होता है? ऐसा इसलिए होता है क्योंकि actual yield में we have, you know, losses such as heat. हमारे पास कुछ product जो है वो waste हो जाता है, कुछ reactant waste हो जाता है, कुछ reactant react ही नहीं कर पाता, या फिर you know कुछ byproducts form हो जाते हैं. So for that reason, it is almost always less than the theoretical yield. So question number 111 says, formic acid is naturally found in which are the following? Butter, goat, milk, vinegar, ants. So book की basically सिंध बोर्ड की जो book है हमारी सेकेंड ईयर की उसकी एक लाइन है कि formic acid या फिर methanoic acid इसको हम कह सकते हैं. It is naturally found as an anti-venom in ants, right? The red ants में वो found होता है. It is basically there as a protective agent, right? इसको हम commercially भी use करते हैं as in antibacterial agent या फिर antifungal agent भी हम इसको use कर सकते हैं. So the correct answer will be ants. Alright, question number 112. It says urea was synthesized first by Waller from an inorganic material named ammonium cyanide, right? Again, it's a line from the book. So again, it's just a case of us having to memorize some of the stuff that we have to just know for the sake of it. So basically, Waller ने किया क्या कि ammonium cyanide को water के साथ heat किया to get ammonia, and he also got the cyanide, right? Cyanic acid. So the correct answer will be ammonium cyanide. Right, here we have another case of factual recall question. जिसमें the question asks us the oil of vitriol refers to which of the following. So say correct answer होगा sulfuric acid, right? Which was also used in a lot of industrial processes such as the contact process. The details of which you can find in the synth textbook board second year wali book. So that is another very important concept and a line that you must know. Right, so question number 114 says the number of 5-membered and 6-membered rings in a buckyball are respectively. So basically buckyball क्या होता है? Basically C16 यानी कार्बन 60 को कहते हैं. 60 कार्बन एटम्स होते हैं इसके अंदर. Basically किसी ज़माने में रिचर्ड स्मॉली और हैरी प्रोटो ने ये एक जो एलिमेंट है, स्ट्रक्चर है, इसको डिस्कवर किया था, जिसके अंदर वी हैव 12 5-membered rings and then we have 26 membered rings, और इसमें टोटल जो कार्बन्स होते हैं they are 60, so it's also called C60. So buckyball में we have 12 5-membered rings and 26 membered rings. For the next one we have it is an example of a crystalline solid. तो out of these options हमें आइडेंटिफाई करना है कि इसमें से क्रिस्टलिन सॉलिड कौन सा है. बेसिकली क्रिस्टलिन सॉलिड्स आर ट्रू सॉलिड्स, जिनको हम कहते हैं एक तरह से कि वो ट्रू सॉलिड्स होते हैं, और इसमें जो आयंस मॉलिक्यूल्स या फिर जो आयंस और इसके जो मॉलिक्यूल्स होते हैं जो स्ट्रक्चर होता है दैट इज बेसिकली इन 3 डायमेंशनल फॉर्म, 3D स्ट्रक्चर उनका होता है. एंड ऐसी कुछ एग्जांपल्स होती हैं जैसे कि एलम हो गया, सोडियम क्लोराइड हो गया, डायमंड हो गया, ग्रेफाइट हो गया। यानी जितने भी जो नेचर में हमारे पास सॉलिड्स पाए जाते हैं उनमें से मोस्ट ऑफ देम आर क्रिस्टलाइन सॉलिड्स, तो इनको हम ट्रू सॉलिड्स भी कहते हैं। सो एज आई मेंशन कि एलम इज एन एग्जांपल ऑफ ए क्रिस्टलाइन सॉलिड. Other than that, rubber, glass, charcoal, plastics, these all are not true solids or these are not crystalline solids. So alum will be the correct answer. Alright, so we're going to be skipping question number 116 because it was a repeated question from before. So now let's look at question number 117. It says mostly p block elements react with dash to form binary compounds. Binary compounds basically दो होते हैं जब दो non metal elements जैसे कि p block elements एक दूसरे से react करके compound form करते हैं. So that's a binary compound, right? तो हमने अपनी बुक में पढ़ा है कि p block elements will react with oxygen as well, they react with water as well, they react with halogen, they react with nitrogen, they even react with hydrogen as well. So one of the options is actually missing here. Let me just include it real quick. So the correct option here will be all of the above. Right, so this question says the maximum number of electrons in a given subshell are calculated by which of the following. So we know that 2n square will calculate us the total number of electrons in an orbit या फिर in a shell, right? लेकिन अगर बात करें subshell की तो we are going to be using the equation 2 multiplied by 2l over 1. इधर l क्या represent कर रहा है, इधर l basically represent कर रहा है azimuthal quantum number, right, which is the second one, right? हमारे पास एक और नंबर होता है n square which basically calculates the number of total subshells in an orbit. So let's move on to the next question. Alright, so the next question says this shape is found in AX2 when the bond angle is 180 degrees. So इसमें थोड़ा सा हम draw कर लेते हैं. Let's say this is our bond angle, right? 180 degrees, right? So basically एक central हमारे पास let's say element है A and then दो side elements हैं X, right? तो अगर bond angle 180 है that means there are two bond pairs yet there is zero lone pairs, right? So that means कि जो bond angle है वो 180 degrees हो जाएगा. So in this case the shape will be linear. So linear will be the correct answer. Alright, so for the question number 120, we have a colloidal solution of liquid into liquid is known as what? Solid foam, foam, fog, or emulsion, right? So here I've put down a list of substances which are related to the dispersion of materials and the dispersion mediums. So first of all, we have emulsions, जिसमें we have colloidal solutions of liquid in a liquid, right? So that will also be a correct answer. Then we have foams, इसमें colloidal solutions होते हैं of liquid in gas, right? Like shaving cream. We'll also talk about what a colloidal solution is. And then we have aerosols, जिसमें colloidal solutions of gas in liquid होता है, such as fog. And then we have solid foams, which is basically colloidal solutions of a gas, solid in gas, right? Like foam rubber. Now let's talk about what a colloidal solution basically is. Colloidal solution में ये होता है कि एक substance के अंदर दूसरा substance add हुआ होता है, kind of like a solution. It's not really a solution. तो उसमें कुछ dissolve नहीं होते materials एक दूसरे के अंदर. So उसमें होता ये है कि जो particles होते हैं they are like they're smaller than the particles of an emulsion, but at the same time they're bigger than the particles of a solute. ठीक है, तो they're not big enough to be seen, right? So it does appear like a solution, but in reality it's not something that is dissolved, right? So we call it a colloidal solution. So the correct answer here would also be emulsion. Right, so the second last question of this segment says these hydrocarbons contain one or more double or triple bonds between the two adjacent carbon atoms in their structure. यानी एक जो substance है उसमें double bond है और एक जो substance है उसमें triple bond है, right? That description only matches the option D. इसमें alkenes और alkynes का mention हुआ है. Alkenes में हमारे पास क्या होता है? Double bond होता है और alkynes में हमारे पास क्या होता है? Triple bond होता है, right? And both these compounds are known as unsaturated compounds. यानी they have some form of double या फिर triple bond. यानी जो saturated होते हैं उनमें there are all single bonds, single carbon carbon bonds. Right, for the last question of the chemistry part of the TBHS 2024 exam, the question says the conjugated acid of NH4 is. तो इस क्वेश्चन में बेसिकली हमें यूज करना है द प्रिंसिपल दैट इज लाउरी ब्रोंस्टेड रूल. तो उसमें बेसिकली अकॉर्डिंग टू दैट रूल अ बेस वाज अ substance that accepts a proton and forms a conjugate acid, right? तो इसमें होगा क्या, NH4 will accept a proton and will form a positive substance that is NH4 plus. So that will be its conjugated acid according to the Lowry-Bronsted theory. So that was it pretty much. That was us covering the chemistry portion of this exam, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video on this same channel called Mid-Angle Pre-Med. Thank you everyone for watching. Allah Hafiz.
Solve logical reasoning. MCAT only has 5 logical reasoning questions, so let's solve them. पहला question है हमारा question number 195. Read the given statement, assume that it is true and select the correct course of action. So course of action का एक सवाल है ये. ठीक है. A public sector television channel is worried about the quality of its programs, and considering the competition from several private sector television channels has decided to provide some incentives in order to attract talent for its programs. ठीक है. तो यहाँ पे जो course of actions है, दो course of actions दिए हैं. एक course of action है A and A course of action है B. ठीक है. तो course of action A क्या है? Public sector television channel has decided to revise its fee structure for artists. अब because ये पहले बात कर रहे थे कि incentives provide करेंगे अपने artists को programs के लिए. So question जो हमारा जो course number A है that actually follows, that is in agreement with our statement. ठीक है. और जो हमारा course of action B है, that is it should not revise its fee structure until the private sector channels do so. अब now this doesn't exactly follow the statement. Statement में बात कर रहे थे that they would provide incentives, और जो course of action B है that's not exactly about provision of incentives. तो यहाँ पे correct option क्या होगा हमारा? B, only A follows. Question number 196. Parveen, Kadir, Rehan, Farid and Tehmina are 5 people in a family. ठीक है. If इसके नाम में क्या पता family tree बनाना, so that it's easy for us to solve. Parveen is the daughter of Kadir. Kadir is the son of Rehan. Rehan is the father of Salim, while Tehmina is the daughter of Parveen. इसकी family tree अगर हम बनाए तो हमारी family tree कैसे बनेगी? We have Rehan. Rehan is basically the father of Kadir. ठीक है. Kadir का जो daughter है that is Parveen, and Rehan also has another son called Salim. ठीक है. और परवीन की डॉटर कौन थी? तहमीना. ठीक है. अकॉर्डिंग टू दिस इज आवर फैमिली ट्री. ठीक है. तो ऑप्शन देख लेते हैं. अंकल रेहान इज द अंकल ऑफ परवीन. ठीक है. दैट कांट बी करेक्ट. ठीक है. बिकॉज रेहान इज द ग्रैंडफादर ऑफ परवीन. ठीक है. कदीर इज द ग्रैंडफादर ऑफ तहमीना. नाउ बिकॉज कदीर इज द फादर ऑफ परवीन and परवीन की डॉटर इज तहमीना, then it makes sense that Tehmina is the granddaughter of Kadir. Correct answer क्या होगा? B. Kadir is the grandfather of Tehmina. Question number 197. Look at the numbers below, identify the pattern and locally deduce the correct option that should follow. अब यहाँ पे 1 minus 4 क्या है? 3. ठीक है. 4 minus 9 क्या है? 5. 9 minus 6 क्या है? 7. अब यहाँ पे if you notice one thing, they are all odd numbers. ठीक है. अब लाइन से सारे odd numbers हैं. 3, 5, 7. तो odd numbers के बाद next लाइन क्या है? 9. ठीक है. तो ऐसा कौन सा नंबर है that अब उसमें अब उसको मैं अगर 16 पे ऐड करूँ I would get that number. तो 16 plus 9 क्या होता है? 25. तो करेक्ट आंसर क्या है? 25. Now let's look at question 198. Read the two statements given and select the correct option. ठीक है. इसमें हमें क्या करना है? We have to select the correct option. तो यहाँ पे हमें two statements दी हैं and we have to see which statement is the cause and which statement is the effect. या फिर दोनों statements independent हैं. Statement A क्या है? Advances in cancer chemotherapy have made more drugs available today. और B statement क्या है? A large number of cancer patients now have a better outcome. So because drugs are more available today, the outcome is better. So statement number A is the cause and statement number B is the effect. The correct answer क्या होगा? B. Now let's look at question 199. विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग इज अ मल्टीपल ऑफ दिस डिजिट्स। ठीक है, अब यहाँ पे हमारा जो पहला नंबर है दैट्स 21। अब 21 में देखो 21 2 के टेबल में नहीं आता, ठीक है, सो दिस कांट बी करेक्ट। उसके बाद लेट्स लुक एट 44। 44 के अंदर देयर 2 डिजिट्स 4 एंड 4, ठीक है। अब 44 4 के टेबल में तो आता है, लेकिन इफ वी ऐड अप दीस डिजिट्स वी गेट 8, ठीक है। अब 8 के टेबल में तो 44 नहीं आता, राइट, so 44 is also wrong. 52 में if you see 52 5 के टेबल में नहीं आता, so that can't be correct. But when we look at 24, you will notice कि 24 में there are 2 digits 2 and 4, ठीक है। अब 24 2 के टेबल में भी आता है, 22 4 के टेबल में भी आता है, and if we add 2 and 4 we get 6, और 24 6 के टेबल में भी आता है, तो करेक्ट आंसर क्या होगा? D, 24. Now let's look at question 200, which is the last question. Look at the alphabets below, identify the pattern and choose the correct option that should follow next. Now let's look at the numbers. ठीक है, पहला, so now let's look at the alphabets. ठीक है, पहला अल्फाबेट हमारे पास यहाँ पे क्या है? V, W, X, Y, ठीक है, तो उसके बाद क्या आएगा? Z, ठीक है, उसके बाद we have S और Q and P. अब यहाँ पे ये ऑपोजिट ऑर्डर में चल रहा है, पहले P आता है, फिर Q आता है, फिर आता है, and then we have S. तो P से पहले क्या आता है? O. So now we have O, P, Q, R, S. ठीक है, and now we notice जो हमारा तीसरा अल्फाबेट है that's A, D, G and J. A और D में कितना फर्क है? B और C का, B, C, D, and then we get, उसके बाद we have E, F and then G. ठीक है, G आ गया, G के बाद क्या आएगा? G, H, I, ठीक है, and then we have J. J में अगर हम 2 स्किप करेंगे तो क्या मिलेगा हमें? J, K, L. K, L के बाद क्या आता है? M. So the correct option would be D, Z, O, M.